Joining me now is former White House press secretary for President Trump and NewsNation political contributor Sean Spicer, former Democratic advisor Dan Turrentine, and independent journalist Rachel Bade. They host the new YouTube show called The Huddle. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for being here. Sean, let me just start with you, because I know that you disagreed with Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem when she called Renee Good's actions domestic terrorism. You know, being from Oklahoma, when I think of domestic terrorism, I think of a Timothy McVeigh, right, with the Oklahoma City bombing. Is the administration overplaying its hand here?
I don't know that they're overplaying, but look, two things can be true at the same time. I don't think Renee Good went to that situation to harm anybody. But then again, I also don't know what's in her heart. But I can tell you from the evidence that I've seen, she wasn't there to harm anybody. But to Mills Hayes' reporting, she was there, like others, to disrupt. That's illegal. She parked her car in a way that was illegal. She tried to flee the scene. That's illegal after officers told her not to. So at the end of the day, when people put themselves in situations that are illegal, that there are bad things that can happen. It's unfortunate the way that this thing went out ultimately, but I don't think she went there to harm anybody. That being said, and this is why I think two things can be true at the same time, when she revved her engine and turned her wheel, the officer had the right to defend himself and believe that he was under attack. So the advice, the thing that I find so funny about this whole situation, Markie, is for some reason we can't look at the situation and agree on certain facts. I agree that it's unfortunate that it turned out the way that it did. But I think that other people on the left should also be able to agree that when you go to disrupt a legal, lawful operation and you jump in the middle of it, bad things can happen.
And Dan, let me just, piggyback off what Sean was just saying there. How do you think Democrats need to handle this moment and its messaging, right? And it seems like everybody is fighting fire with fire. How do you navigate that line between, okay, we're going to push back on the Trump administration on this one, but at the same time, don't vilify law enforcement over it who are out there doing their job? What say you on how Dems need to respond to this?
Yeah, it's a great point, Markie. We need to separate the personnel from the policy. As you were saying, we can object, as all Americans have the right to do, to policies from our federal or state government, and you have a right to protest. But what you can't do is interfere, as Sean said, with federal law enforcement or state. Here in New York City, I would be upset if the police were rushing to an emergency or engaging in an action and people were blocking them from doing so. And I think this idea of kind of it's okay to throw snowballs or to try to stop or harm the personnel. They're doing their job, just as they did under Barack Obama when he deported hundreds of thousands of people. So you have to respect law enforcement. You have to respect that personnel are simply doing their job, even if you dislike it, but also have the right to protest. And I think part of the problem is I don't think a lot of these ICE agents are trained to handle the crowds they're confronting. It's getting, hot. As Sean said, people are trying to defend themselves. Protesters snap. The agents snap. It's a combustible situation.
Rachel, the escalating clash between these federal agents and the protesters on the ground has prompted Secretary Noem to send in even more agents to Minneapolis. You've got Governor Tim Walz saying, OK, I've got the National Guard on standby then. What do you see as being the potential political fallout from all of this?
Yeah, it's a great question, Markie. We're starting to see it right here in Washington. I mean, overnight or just a few hours ago, we got news that lawmakers had to drop Department of Homeland Security funding from this sort of package they were supposed to vote on today because Democrats are already sort of saying, look, we need to reassess policy when it comes to ICE. There's already talk about defunding ICE. And it's sort of crazy for me to say this right now because just a few years ago, Democrats, by and large, agreed that this notion of defund ICE that was very hot and popular with the base was just political suicide, and that really hurt them politically. But we are starting to see the emergence of that, starting with this sort of appropriations discussion today and not being able to move appropriations bills through Congress. Reminder, we've got a deadline at the end of the month, a potential shutdown around the corner. And so one thing I'm going to be watching is to see if Democratic leaders follow this sort of fury we're seeing it with the base right now and demanding ICE officers can't cover their faces, that they want to defund certain things, that, you can't make certain arrests without a warrant. These are ideas that are sort of being tossed out on the left right now. And the politicization of this in Washington, it's only starting to heat up, Markie.
And Sean, let me ask you one more question on this before we pivot to, I want to ask y'all about Jerome Powell as well. Are you concerned about the FBI denying the possibility of a joint investigation? You know, FBI is solely over this now. Local officials don't get access to any interviews, no evidence. Does that bother you in regards to what that means for fairness and transparency?
Well, look, it is a federal law enforcement activity. That being said, I think it would probably behoove the administration to bring Minnesota into this because at the end of the day, when I believe, look, by every law enforcement officer that I've talked to, it was a rightful shooting. The officer feared. And so the more that Minnesota is bought into this conclusion, I think the better. Then again, I don't have all of the knowledge that the FBI does about some of the individuals in that operation, whether they're concerned about them. But at the end of the day, I do think it makes sense to buy Minnesota into this operation so that when the conclusion does ultimately prove that it was a justified shooting, that there is some buy-in from the people of Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next on that front. Okay, let me switch gears with y'all because this was also the big story that happened overnight. The Department of Justice announcing last evening it's now launching this criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell and his testimony regarding the Federal Reserve buildings renovations with a price tag of $2.5 billion. Powell says this is President Trump's latest attempt to get the Fed to lower interest rates. Dan, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think it's pretty ridiculous, what he's trying to do. It's like trying to get Al Capone on taxes. He just wants them gone, and he wants the interest rates lowered. Look, I think ultimately, I think he probably does try to fire. He does fire Powell. I think he's going to move on it. The economy is struggling. He wants kind of a boogeyman to blame, to say it's his or her fault. But I do think as a country, we may rue the day that the president took over interest rates, if that's what ultimately happens.
I mean, Rachel, what are you hearing in Washington and on Capitol Hill on this? Is there a real investigation that needs to be had here, or is this the Trump administration looking for cause to let him go even earlier than May? I mean, what are you hearing?
So it's interesting, Markie, because usually there are referrals from Congress when it comes to people believed to be lying under oath. It's typically lawmakers who push the Department of Justice to make these sort of investigations and eventually charges. We haven't seen that. This is something very much of the Trump administration's own sort of idea, and they're pushing forward with this, and they're already starting to see some backlash from Republicans who, again, worry about the independence of the Fed and want to keep that. I mean, Tom Tillis, again, he's retiring, and he's been pretty vocal in his criticism of the president because he is leaving Congress. Senator from North Carolina, he's come out and said that he will not vote for any more Fed nominees. And by the way, he's got a veto authority on the Senate Banking Committee. So look, he's not happy with this. And he's laying down a line saying because of this investigation, the admin's not going to get his support. So I would watch Republican members. Obviously, they control both chambers, and they've been more vocal lately in terms of their pushback on the administration. What do they do, if anything?
Spicer, I saw the finger, the bingo.
You put the but you use the absolute right word, Markie, and the audience needs to understand this. The president just needs cause to fire Powell. He doesn't need him to be found guilty of anything. Like any other HR complaint in the workplace, the statute says cause. So if the president can say, hey, I don't think that you have demonstrated good conduct in the workplace, that's it. Number two, for the audience, go Google Spicer v. Biden. The Biden administration set the precedent for this. Good luck with them.
And then just I'll give you the last word real quick. Where do you think this heads from here? And are you surprised by timing? I mean, after he has started to lower interest rates, not at the level that the president would like to see, but he's started to lower them. Are you surprised by this, Sean, at all?
No, he wants another quarter basis point, and the Fed's already indicated that they're going to stop probably in January. Stephen Moran, the Council of Economic Advisors chairman that he's put as a governor there, has indicated that he'd go further. That's what Trump wants, and I think that's what he'll get out of another thing. But I agree with Dan. Ultimately, he fires him and names Kevin Hassett.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.